Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
Excellent. So welcome to the show. This is Tuesday and we are going out on Mintwave Radio. Ask Alexa or go to the website /Mintwave-radio. If this is on a podcast, you can download the app for Apple and Android. Please subscribe to any podcast that you like on our network. It's not just mine there. So same website /podcast-network. Now, today's episode is 137, and today we have Tenya Rakenberg, and she is a self-care coach and energy healer. And today we're going to be talking about how energy healing and self-care work together. Very important. So my name's Karen Roberts. I am your host, and we are just helping other coaches, therapists, and healers to get their message heard to the people who need to hear it. Now, Tenya is she's a certified life coach, self-care coach, and her passion is to help women release their emotional baggage and direct their energies toward efforts to heal and regain strength, freedom, and happiness. Her unique approach to energy healing is an alternative method that deviates from conventional medicine or talk therapy and instead encourages individuals to nurture positive energy for the healing to take place. Tenya's decision to enter this profession stems from her long-term fight against depression and anxiety, which made her look for other ways of healing apart from the traditional treatment methods. And so she discovered that energy healing is an effective technique for regaining your health after realizing that it brought about positive changes that medication and therapy couldn't achieve. Energy healing is widely used and recommended as a reliable healing method of releasing tension and getting yourself back to a more positive and fulfilling life. So Tenya, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I mean, I love this. This sort of fascinates me on a personal level. I at the end of the day, that's what we are, isn't it? Energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything around us.
So how would you describe to the listeners exactly what energy healing is?
So energy healing is just a method of healing, right? There's lots of different methods of healing. There's nutrition healing, there's physical healing, but energy healing works on every energetic aspect of you. So it works on your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body. It'll work on just your emotions, your limiting beliefs, because those are all energy as well. And what energy healing does is it is able to tap into the frequency or the vibration of what's going on and address it from a more cellular level, as opposed to just taking medications or foods to change the symptoms or hide the symptoms.
Right. So it sounds like it's getting right to the core of the problem.
To the root cause. Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, could you share a little bit of your story, how and why you came to be? Yeah.
So I had been dealing with anxiety and depression my entire life, both inside and outside of me. My mother was diagnosed with being bipolar in 1986, 87, I think. I was about 7 or 8 years old, and she had been dealing with it for years prior to that, but I have no memories of before age 8. And we had dealt with it through our teenage years. We were told that it would be inherited. We had a 50-50 chance of getting it. And it was just something that I always fought against, because I saw how much trouble she had in dealing with her mental health. Not trouble, but just how much she had to deal with it, just what it kind of put her through. And that the doctors would only offer medication and talking. But I don't know if she really ever knew why she was feeling the way that she was feeling. And that rang true for me. I had dealt with it on and off, went on and off medication. And yes, the medication helped while I was on it. But again, it was just covering up the symptoms. It wasn't dealing with it. And in 2018, I was doing really well, wasn't on any medication. My twins were graduating high school. My oldest kid is graduating college, and we were moving on with our lives. My husband and I were going into empty nest and purchasing our dream home. And we purchased our dream home, moved in, everything was supposed to be wonderful. But in early 2019, I got hit with this just big wave of depression. And it was, I just I couldn't almost function. Like I knew I had to get up and go to work. I know I had to get up and make dinner, that kind of stuff. But internally, I just couldn't function. And it was either, I was either going to find something that was going to get rid of it, or I was going to end up running my car into a telephone pole, so that I had a few days off to try to figure things out.
Wow.
It was that bad. And I did go the traditional route at first, because that's all I knew. Found a therapist, started talk therapy, and this was in the middle of, beginning of COVID. So everything was televisits. And so I was meeting with a doctor that I had never met before, and the appointment lasted 15 minutes. He put me on a medication and said, I'll see you in 6 to 8 weeks. Therapist, while she was wonderful in what she does, I don't think she was the right therapist for me. I value therapy. I think it's a wonderful tool, but you have to go through many different therapists to find the one that's right for you, who's going to be able to help you, because everybody is unique and different. And the reasons for their anxiety and depression is very different from one person to another. So one therapist and one medication is not going to fix it.
Mm.
And after 6 to 8 weeks, nothing had changed. If anything, I was just numb. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel sadness. I didn't feel anything. And I said, this is it. I need something that's going to get rid of it, that's going to heal it forever and get rid of it. And I did a Google search, wonderful Google, emotional holistic healing. And the first thing that came up was the emotion code. And this is a modality of using muscle testing to find trapped emotions and releasing them from your energy. And I was very skeptical in the beginning. I was like, really? Can this really work? And the more I looked into it, tried it, I was just like, I think this could really work. And so I got certified for my own benefit. I'm the type of person that if I'm going to get into something, I want to learn about it so I can do it for myself.
Mhm.
And that's what I did. I got certified in it, got certified in the body code, which was the second tier. And within 4 months, I had healed 80% of my anxiety and depression.
Wow.
And I was I was just astonished at how quickly it worked, because it did in 4 months what 20 years of on and off therapy and medication couldn't do. And then that's when I discovered that I needed to add something else, so it was 100% healed. And that's when self-care came into my awareness. And it was meditation, journaling, to set boundaries, which I had never learned to do. Being able to accept my emotions for what they were, and understanding that my emotions were not going to hurt me. They were just messages that they were telling my body that there's something going on, like you've got to pay attention. And once I started putting all of that stuff into play, it was like 2 months later, 100% healed. Like no depression, no anxiety. I mean, I still have days where like that fight or flight response is going to kick in, but I'm able to handle it so much better now than I used to. And it doesn't hold me back from doing things. It's just,
Right.
it's I got to feel joy for the first time ever. Like, I don't think I had really ever experienced pure joy. Even when my kids were born, there was still those energies there that were like holding me back from being really wanting to be happy and joyful about that particular moment, because I was always living in the future, or I was always living in the past. And now
Mm.
I'm able to live here. And
Right.
it was just such a game changer for me.
I mean, this is the problem, though, isn't it? With our whole systems. And I'm not putting anything down, and I'm just saying that maybe we haven't really revisited everything for many, many, many years, and we're continuing to do the things that we've, you know, not always done, but done for quite a while. Everything is just a temporary plaster. And I'm not saying I agree that, you know, they all have their place, but like you say, they are just temporary fixes. You know,
Right.
who wants to be on medication for the rest of their life? And I get it. Some people may need that. If it's that acute, you need something now, but then
Right.
look for more of a long-term solution to the problem. So, I mean, so how did it feel after that long, knowing that, you know, you finally solved the issue, and finally being aware, I suppose, that, you know, this is what is going on. This is maybe why. And it's okay. You're not broken. You don't need to be
Right.
fit. You just needed to clear it.
Exactly, exactly. And a lot of the things that I cleared were inherited energies that I had received from my parents. And even more mind-boggling, I saw the change in my parents, mostly my dad, because a lot of my inherited energies came from his side of the family, ironically. But I saw a shift in him as
Ooh,
well. Not quite a big shift, like I had, but I did see differences. I saw the shift in my children because of
wow.
energies I had cleared that they may have inherited from me. So I wasn't just healing myself, I was healing generations prior and generations going forward.
My goodness. Yeah, there's
And so
so
that
much more to this than
it
we
is.
totally understand, isn't there?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that if my mom had known about this when she was younger, I feel like that she would have used it. She's in a different place now, and it's not something that she was interested in using a while ago, but that's her choice. But because of all the medications that she has been on throughout the year, she now has cirrhosis of the liver. So that's another reason as to why I strive to not be on medications that are man-made.
Mm,
Right? I mean,
good.
there are a lot of herbs that do us a lot of good that are from the earth, that are made by the universe to help us. But you
Hmm.
have to go and see somebody who knows how to deal with them because you don't want to take the wrong thing.
No, no, that
But
and there be the issue. But again, even that
right,
is again a temporary fix whilst you
right,
deal with the more
exactly.
deeper
Yeah.
stuff. So, you know, when we talk, you know, trauma, people are talking about this a lot more. And I think there's quite some misunderstanding of it as well. So where
Mhm.
do you how would you explain where trauma energies come from for starters, and then how they, you know, how and why do they actually affect you?
So where they come from is they can come from so many different avenues. They can, like I said, they can be inherited from your parents. So your parents, so let's say your dad went through elementary school and was being bullied, right? And he trapped the emotion of anger or the belief that I'm stupid when he was like 6 or 7 years old. And then he can pass that on to you. And that energy can actually send out vibrations or frequencies that could attract similar situations to you. And so by clearing those inherited energies, you can help to eliminate some of those things. When we don't feel our emotions, they can get trapped. When we don't feel that fear or that shame or that guilt. And I know it's really hard to feel those emotions, especially in the moment that you're feeling them. But if you can go back and revisit those emotions and allow yourself to feel them, they may only last a minute. They may last 5 minutes. At most, they might last an hour, but they're going to clear if you allow yourself to experience them.
Right. I
But by
suppose,
not experiencing,
yeah, if I suppose avoidance, we
right,
naturally we're running away from pain. Nobody wants to deal with pain. It seems to be
Right.
more of a driving force than actually going for what you want, right? And we're crazy creatures, really, when we think
We
about it.
are.
But you're saying, but yeah, the emotions that are attached to whatever memory of anything that's
Hmm.
happened, by suppressing it or trying to push it away and ignore it, it's going to come out, isn't it? It's going to
Right.
affect your
It's going to come
body
out
in
one way or
some way.
another. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's where physical pain comes from. That's where dis-ease comes from. It's because we have all of this emotional baggage that we're carrying around. And, 50% of it might not even be yours. It might be stuff that you're even
Mm,
picking up from watching TV or scrolling through Facebook or something like that. It's just because you're constantly reinstituting some of those beliefs, and so
mm,
you're taking on that truth as your own, and you're believing
mm.
it. And then you just keep on piling on top of it. Autoimmune diseases are usually triggered by stress and trauma and anxiety. And there's been an uprise of autoimmune diseases that people are getting.
Massive,
Massive. I mean,
massive.
you didn't hear anything about autoimmune diseases 30 years ago. And now they're all over the place, and I don't know even how many there are. But all that stuff comes from not
It's
being
crazy.
able to take care of yourself on an energetic and subconscious and a conscious level, because we're not
Mm.
taught to put ourselves first. We're taught
No,
to
well,
put
it's
everybody else
considered.
first.
Yeah, where it's considered as that's a bit selfish.
Right, right.
And we all, and again, even I'm aware of this, but I still catch myself because it is an automatic
Right.
response that you can still feel guilty about it, which is it's just ridiculous when you can step back and look in and think, well, yeah, all the sort of common sayings that come up, like, you can't give from an empty cup. We know these things, which
Right.
is this, but it's been so conditioned into us to have these feelings of, yeah, oh no, maybe I should
Hmm.
go and do a bit more work. I should work harder. I should do this. I should.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. 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 It's
It's
it's crazy just that we're raised in a way to not take care of ourselves, but yet we are meant to be energetic and vibrant and open to be able to be there for everybody else.
mm.
But at some point, you just can't be.
Well, it's not sustainable, is it? And
No,
do you think
no.
that's why? I mean, obviously, the whole world's has come under a lot of stress if they've, fallen into it over the last few years. And do you think that's why there are so many? Yeah, because everything just seems to be on the rise. Um, People do seem to be under so much stress, and it doesn't seem to be letting up if you believe everything you watch. And there you go, like you said it earlier about,
Yep,
you can take all this in just from the TV. I mean, that's something I got rid of 2 years ago. It was the best thing I ever did. Something so simple, my
yep,
goodness. Although I do miss things and I forget things, and
right.
because it's not in your face. But it's amazing, isn't it, that how we can take stuff on, and we think we're all thinking, don't we? But are
Yep,
we? Because as you said, we're absorbing stuff that we're actually not really looking at and going,
right.
really? Is this
Yeah,
as it is? But we just take it on board. Do you think that's part of it? We're just constantly distracted if we allow.
absolutely. Absolutely. I heard another coach, I can't remember his name, but he was like, I get more done. He has like, I think he said like 6 hour days, but he works from like 3 6 hour shifts throughout his day. So he's doing 3 days of work in one day. And I'm just like, why do you need to do that much work in one day?
Wow.
Why do you feel the need to be that busy? And everybody is like they have a hard time sitting still.
Yes.
And it's because of all of this stuff that was going on that we're not paying attention to, that you're supposed to be always busy. You need to be working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And if somebody needs you at work when you're off of work, well, you need to be available for questions. So we're
Mm,
not going to give you a cell phone so that we can call you and ask you questions on the weekends or on the holidays. It's twofold, right? It's we don't take care of ourselves, but we don't set up boundaries to tell all of
mm,
these other influences that, look, I can't have you in my energy right now. Like, I need this time for myself. And it's because we've been programmed to not put ourselves first. And all of
mm,
that outside influence continues to remind us that we can't be
yeah.
there for ourselves.
Well, I suppose for some, I mean, the way things have gone, I mean, that's a good thing about working for yourself. But in certain companies, I think so much pressure is put on certain people that they
Yeah,
don't know how to set the boundaries because it could be fear of losing a job or, I've got to be available. And like you say, I mean, I don't know how we survived prior to
right. Yeah, I
having
know.
mobile phones. We did it. If you can't get hold of me,
Yep,
sorry, you'll get hold of me on
right,
Monday. That is it. But
right.
we've
Yep,
allowed this to come creeping in, creeping in, creeping in. Do you
yep.
see a real, have you seen a real change? This all happened well, not far from the sort of madness that happened in the last 3 years. Do you think people are starting to change this now and be a little bit more, no, this is how it
Absolutely,
is? Yeah. So do you
absolutely.
think see things improving?
I think it's going to be a while before things start improving. I think people need to continue putting their foots down and saying, no, I'm not going to put up with that. Like, this isn't, they need to be paid a living wage. They need to have life, work life balance. And it's
Mm,
really unfair for employers to demand that their employees be loyal to them when it really should be the other way around. The employers really need to be loyal to their employees. Yes, there's always
mm,
going to be somebody else who can come in and do that job. Unfortunately, there is always going to be someone else who's going to do what you don't want to do
mm,
because they are programmed to work out of fear.
mm.
And
But who wants a transient
right,
employees? You'd rather, it's
right.
surely, when they can step back and go, well, actually, I'd much rather create a nicer work environment where actually my people aren't going to go and look for
Yeah,
something elsewhere. Surely it'd
yes,
save them money in the long run. Come on.
exactly, right? You would think.
You'd
But
think
yeah,
you
yeah,
just
yeah.
it sounds so. I mean, yeah. Thank goodness I've never really been in that arena. Thank goodness. I don't think I'd be employable because I wouldn't stand for it. But how does when you talk about self care? I mean, it's such a range anyway, from just taking a bath, I suppose, to a walk or to having a massage or something. But how does that affect or how does that help energies move, clear them out?
So, when you're taking care of yourself, when you're doing the conscious work, when you're sitting in meditation, even for 2 minutes a day, just sitting in meditation, doing the dishes, right? Cleaning up your space. When you have a decluttered space, your energy is able to flow much easier because you can imagine it like all of your energy just kind of radiating out in front of you. And if you have piles of stuff all around you, that energy is going to hit those piles and it's not going to be able to flow and it might bounce back to you. And, so declutter your space. Setting your boundaries is another form of self care that is going to help your energy to flow better because it's going to reduce your stress. Granted, when you're setting those boundaries in the beginning, it's not going to. It's going to be one of the most stressful things you're ever going to do, especially if you've never set boundaries before. But when you hold those boundaries, you're going to have a lot less stress in your life. When you journal, when you write down and do brain dumps and write down all the thoughts in your head, you're eliminating so much just being kept inside that you're allowing that energy to flow. And that leaves leaves room for you to do that energy work to find those deeper root causes and allow them to clear much easier and allowing your body to heal the way it's supposed to. Our bodies are amazing computers, right? They're amazing devices that are able to heal themselves, but because of all this other stuff that we have trapped within us or what we put into our bodies, it's not
Mm.
able to. So once you take care of it, it's able to heal a lot faster on its own.
I've always found it fascinating that. So a few years ago, I went and retrained in nutrition and studying the ketogenic diet and the health benefits of fasting. And it just seems to be we're always looking to add things on. We're
Hmm.
consuming. And so now I understand that, yeah, you're right. The body has this amazing recycling system. But because
Hmm.
we are constantly eating, we were told to eat well, even more than 3 meals a day. Actually, I was taught,
Yeah.
especially if we wanted to lose weight, you need to be eating every couple of hours. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry to anybody who I gave that advice to. It's terrible advice.
Yeah.
And it even then when you it's put like that and you think, yeah, well, actually, yeah, if you think about it, all that energy is constantly focused on digesting food. When does it have time to go and
Yeah.
do the housework?
Exactly.
No
Exactly.
wonder. But we were all taught, oh, mustn't miss your breakfast. Oh, what have you eaten recently? We'd been taught that it's bad to go without food. And now we realize, actually, if you do it controlled and you do it properly, actually, that's when the body can heal. And from what you're saying is, oh, but that works with the mind too.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it's like, stopping that chitter chatter in the mind will
Yep.
heal, because
Yeah.
we've all got perfect mental health. Actually, we've all got perfect
Right.
physical health. We just get in the way.
Exactly. Exactly. We do. Yep.
It,
We get in
it's
our
it's
own way.
almost too simple. It's like it's almost too simple. It's
It,
how do
it
we
is.
get all
It is
this wrong?
right. It's very simple, but it's hard to do. It's
Yes.
hard to make those changes when we are inundated with everything that we want. If we want chicken wings, we can get chicken wings. If we want pizza, we can get pizza. If we
Yep.
want a $200 steak, we can get a $200 steak. There isn't we are not lacking for what we want.
Mm,
And if we really want it, we'll find a way to get it. But those
mm.
are temporary highs.
Yeah. And I,
I'm guilty of it
I
too.
fell into that in lockdown. I mean, I just
Yep.
totally fell off the bandwagon. I certainly wasn't following a ketogenic diet and I certainly wasn't fasting because I was miserable.
Right.
And, you know, Deliveroo were doing very well, sending, food from your restaurant. It was just, that's the worst
Yep.
thing that ever could have started. The
Yep.
worst business that ever could have started, but they are thriving
Aren't they?
because it
Absolutely.
became, and
Yeah,
it's
why
just
didn't
the
we think of it?
worst thing ever. Well, yeah, I should have thought of that. Yeah, for a business, but no good for me,
Yeah.
no good for my body, no good for my health. But
Nope.
yeah, you're right. We're we just it's instant gratification. We want it now, 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 now. We've got
Exactly.
no time.
Yep. Yep. And
But
self-care is not
actually,
instant gratification, and self-care is not always fun.
ah, interesting. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. So the self-care that I encourage my clients to do is meditation, journaling, boundary setting, emotional acceptance, looking at what they're putting into their bodies, how much sleep they're getting. Looking at all of those things is not fun. Changing your sleep habits. So if you want to change your sleep habits, maybe you have to put your phone down an hour before you go to bed. Or maybe you have to start going to bed at 9 o'clock versus midnight and getting up at 6 o'clock versus 10 a.m. Again, what you're putting into your body. Are you putting in a lot of processed foods? If so, you might want to look at what you're putting in there, because all of those different dyes that go into the food can affect your mental health, right? Meditation. Nobody likes to sit still for a minute or two a day. Nobody likes to sit in silence for 10 minutes a day, especially when you've never done it.
Mm.
And those things are not fun, but they're so beneficial when you do them every single day.
Oh,
And it has to be a
and
deliberate action.
there it is. And that is the
Yes.
thing, isn't it? Just like
Yeah.
starting a fitness regime,
Yep.
in the beginning. It's like my daughter's coming in, she's aching today because she went to the gym with her boyfriend. And I think he worked so hard. She came home really proud that she's, she lifted this amount of weight. And I was like, oh, you're going to hurt tomorrow.
Yep. Yep.
Tomorrow.
Yep.
Because it takes time. And
Right.
then when you're in the flow of it, and then it doesn't hurt anymore, and then you actually enjoy it, and then you get the endorphins and you get the buzz for it,
Right.
just
Right.
like when you've but it seems like our bad habits that, and not everybody has them, admit so, they've built on good habits. Some of us have built bad habits over time.
Mhm.
And that seems to be the thing, whatever it is, whether it's food, whether it's whatever, that seems to be the biggest challenge. Do you not think that it's just doing something differently, whatever that different
Yep.
looks like? Could be something really small, but and that's it. It's everything takes practice because
Right.
we're all wanting it now, aren't we?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I always recommend starting small. Always start small. If you aren't a walker, right? If you don't want to go to the gym and work out, just start walking. If you can't go outside and walk, there's walking videos on YouTube. You can go and walk in your living room, and it'll track how many miles you walk by just walking in your living room. There are easy ways to achieve what you want to achieve, but sometimes you do have to start out small and grow.
Mm,
1 minute a week of meditation, or 1 minute a day of meditation for a week, and then up it to a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Little increments
mm.
are going to make that lasting impression.
Great advice, because yes, that's it. If people do too much, it can put them off,
Right.
or they get overwhelmed and then they do nothing. So
Yes.
starting out small so that they're more consistent. So when you
Yeah.
talk about self-care, I mean, self-care and energy healing, how do they really sort of complement each other?
Well, by clearing out all that emotional baggage that we've been carrying around, it makes it easier to do the self-care. It makes it easier to do the conscious work. And when you put those two together, you really build this foundation that is going to give you those tools for the rest of your life. Because I also try to teach my clients how to address their own energy when they feel it coming on, because I don't want my clients to come back to me on, all the time. I want them to know how to know when their energy is being depleted and what they can do in order to release that, because you can do a lot of that releasing on your own just by doing the self-care. But what I help my clients with is to clear out a bulk of it so that they can continue to do the self-care to keep on releasing that energy, that emotional baggage that they're carrying around. So it just builds a good
Right.
foundation for them to start from.
So for them to clear their own energy, are you saying that is how that's going to work is going to be coming from the meditation or
Mhm.
the self-care stuff? So that is going
Yeah.
to naturally, okay,
Yep.
clear their energy
Yeah.
and raise their vibration. So,
Right.
I mean, these days, mental health is, and again, it's a good thing that more and more people are talking about it, and, at least it's being, you know, it's out there, and I agree that talk therapy may help, but I just think we're focusing on the problem as opposed to focusing on a solution.
Right.
And when you said everybody's different, for you then personally, what was when you got down to it, what was the root cause of your depression and anxiety?
The root cause of mine was a lot of inherited energies from my dad's dad, from
Oh,
my
right,
grandfather.
yes.
It
Okay.
was not being able to accept my emotions for what they were, not allowing myself to feel that anxiety of going somewhere or to feel that sadness at the loss of something. It was
So
also
resistance, blocking it.
resistance, yes, yes, and setting boundaries. I had to set strong with my mom, and that was a huge one that was contributing to my anxiety and my depression, was because as a kid, as children, we want to help our parents when we see them not feeling good. And I
Mhm.
wasn't able to help her feel better as a kid. And so I took on a lot of that guilt of not being able to help her.
Right.
And that was contributing because it always seemed like no matter how much me and my brother tried, we couldn't help because
Ah,
she had to find what was going to work for her. So
and as a
yeah, it was a
child,
lot
you're
of
gonna feel
yeah,
guilty.
yep. So it was just a lot of childhood trauma. And I try to tell my clients, look, we hold on to things that we don't even know we have. And we're not going to even remember that we went through those things. Because if you hold on to an emotion or a trauma energy from 3 or 4 years old, one, you're probably not going to remember where that came from. And two, trauma for a 3 and 4 year old is going to be completely different than it is for a 15-year-old or for a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
So,
So how do you
having that,
clear it if you can't remember it? How do you clear it if you don't
well,
remember it?
I use muscle testing. I use muscle testing so I can get in tune with my client's energy because we're all energy. We're all connected on an energetic level. And muscle testing is a great way to speak to your higher self, to speak to your subconscious. And I have 60 different charts that muscle testing takes me through because my subconscious knows where these charts are, but their subconscious knows what needs to be addressed. And so we
Mm.
find what it is and we ask, can it be cleared? If it can't be cleared, it means that there's layers underneath of it. And so we clear those layers. We just clear it with our intention. We clear it with love and gratitude because those things were taken on and kept as some form of protection for a reason. But once we can find them, they're no longer needed because your subconscious will only allow you to clear what is ready to be released, what you don't need any longer. But we have been so out of practice about knowing our own bodies and knowing what
Yes.
needs to be addressed that without the proper tools, it's not easy to find. I mean, there's stuff that I have found in past lives that I've carried over from it because you can carry over stuff from past lives. If you believe in reincarnation, you can bring stuff over from past lives that you have gone through. So there can be a lot. And I don't
Right.
want to overwhelm
That
anybody, but
yeah.
there can be a lot, especially if you're looking to heal a lot of different things.
hmm
But through muscle
And so it's
testing,
going
through
to take time,
intention,
but it sounds like
yes,
you're peeling back the layers, as you said. It's like, okay, so that cleared, that one
yep,
cleared. So at least rather than just putting a band-aid on to just temporarily fix it and
right,
then it's going to be back, you're trying to get to the deeper stuff so that
yep,
once that's gone, that's everything dealt with. And I suppose
yep,
it's you must be learning as you're going as well. So then
yes.
that whole thing to be able to work with yourself or be aware when things come up because that's it, isn't it? It's, if you're not aware, and there was things that I would never have even thought about until you're like,
Mhm.
oh,
Yep. Yep.
But it's empowering though, because it just means that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and things can be solved. I mean, I know I would have thought there's very few things. Yes, there can be genetic and all sorts of. We can put a lot of excuses onto things. And
Mm-hmm.
I think most things will have a solution somewhere. You just don't yet know where that
Right.
solution is.
Right. And the solution may not have been created yet. I mean, look how far humans have come in the last 200 years with technology and stuff like that. So whatever solution you need is out there.
Yeah.
Maybe you're the one
Yeah,
supposed to create it.
I think so. I just think we're going about it wrong. Again, we've given our power away to somebody in a white coat.
Right. Yep.
Yet, and at the same time, we've come unstuck with really being intuitive. I don't know. How has this happened? That we've been conditioned to not trust that inner voice, as though we've been told that none of us are actually worthy, and that we
Right.
shouldn't trust our intuition. No wonder
Yep.
things are in a mess.
Absolutely. And even those guys in the white coats, they don't trust their own intuition. They're always going to the books on
Yes.
what they've been told. So, yeah, learn to go with your intuition, learn to listen to your body, your heart. Your heart knows so much, and it tries to talk to you all the time, and you really need to listen to it.
Yeah, we're not listening. We're
Yeah.
distracted. We're too
Yep, we're
distracted
distracted
by
by all
everything
kinds of
else.
things.
Yeah. So it is about just trusting that inner voice, trusting
It
that
is.
going within
Yep.
and reconnecting. And I suppose that is possibly the most difficult thing for people, because of this programming that they know best. They're the
Yep.
experts. But
Yep.
nobody's going to know your body better than you.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, if you know you're not supposed to eat that shellfish, don't let somebody tell you you're supposed to eat it.
Yeah.
You know? Just stand up for
But that
yourself
seems to
and
be
not.
the thing. It's we've given up. We've given away. Everything is out.
Yep,
We've been taught everything is outside of us, and actually
it's all
everything now
inside.
is
It's all inside.
it
Your
never
power is
left.
within you. It's like
It
that movie
never.
Shazam. We're all Shazam.
I mean, and that this is, I suppose this is the hardest thing that people can get their head around, that, because you like when you explain it all, listening to you explain it does sound so simple.
Hmm.
Why is it as human beings we have this tendency to overcomplicate things? But actually, it's
Because of
when
our
we
beliefs.
take off.
Yeah, it's
Mm,
because of the beliefs. It's the beliefs that we've been told. It's beliefs our ancestors have been told. It's the beliefs that we've been told as a collective, as a human race, that we cannot trust ourselves, that we don't know what's good for us, right? I mean, I'm sure you were told that
mm,
as a kid. I know what's good for you, so you're going to do it,
yeah,
right? I mean, we've all been told that. But our
yeah.
parents were told that. Our grandparents were told that. So there's that those layers that you
Mm,
have to try to break through in order to be able to trust yourself. And then you've got
mm.
media telling you you can't trust yourself, you know.
Yeah, you got to listen to them. Nah.
Yeah, turn off the news.
Yeah. Honestly, that was why I just 2 years. I was like, "Pfft, that's not
Yep,
working, and I'm not going to replace it." And I've
yep.
got to say, it's
Good for you.
oh, I mean, I can still watch things. I've got
Right. You still
Netflix or
have a
Prime, but
computer.
terrestrial
Yep,
TV. And it's funny.
yep.
It is things like you realize how brainwashed you've been, because you know, because I'm still watching YouTube and things, but the adverts are going to be different, right? So
Right.
where we are, I'm sure we're going to have different adverts, you know, from UK to over there, or even parts of the UK. But the mainstream stuff, because it's not on, I just can't watch it even if I wanted to. So I'm not
Right.
having those brainwashed adverts for certain product, you know, and you just you realize how much how badly it is programming you, because the difference is actually phenomenal. And you
Hmm.
I don't know. I do think I do buy differently because I'm not being constantly, oh, that brand,
Right.
that brand. I'm just going and getting whatever it is I want. And it just goes to show how much that's affecting. I think we really
Yep.
underestimate how much
Yep.
that is actually affecting us.
Yeah. Well, that's
Um,
how they market, is they know how to emotionally pull people in. That's all
yeah,
that's what marketing is pulling
yeah,
people in with emotion, and that's absolutely what advertisements do. That's what commercials do. That's why they last so long.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, I don't miss it at all.
Nope. Nope.
So who are you sort of, who do you love really working with? What are people coming to you with initially, looking for help to sort of solve in general?
Yeah, so I work primarily with women. It's just where I've always gravitated towards. And, it's usually women who have been suffering with anxiety their entire lives, and they're just ready to stop playing the medication game, and they're ready to set themselves up so that they can um take it forward to their children if they have children, or take it forward in their
Mm,
career so they can move forward in their career. But a lot of these women have what we call high functioning anxiety, and they are just ready to kind of put a stop to it and be able to dial back and to be able to slow down.
right. And what sort of transformations have you seen? And in sort of
Uh,
what sort of time scales? I know you said it was very fast with you. So
yes. So I've been able to help women put their anxiety and depression, or heal it, within 3 months. And of course, that is them doing the self-care work. If you don't do this, I'm going to tell you, if you don't do the self-care work, I can do all the
it ain't
energy
gonna happen.
clearing. It's not going to hold. It's not going to hold. You have to continue doing the self-care work after we're done.
Mhm.
But within 3 months, we can heal it, usually 100%. It just all depends on
Wow.
what the trauma was that you went. It's 2 weekly sessions on self-care and energy healing, so you get 12 sessions of each. And I've had women start their own businesses after the program. I've had women get promotions. They have been much happier. They're teaching their children how to accept their emotions. I love seeing the transformation in these women
Mm.
when they, by like week 6 or 8, they're just like, I didn't even know that feeling this way was possible.
I
So,
mean that's massive, isn't it? Especially
yeah,
if they've been suffering, as you know,
yeah,
for years, or on and off for years. It keeps coming back, or because I'm sure people can goes through peaks and troughs.
yep.
But how wonderful! It must be incredibly rewarding for you too. That.
It is. And I never went into this, going into energy healing to do it as a once I healed my anxiety and depression, I was like, you know what? I need to help other women. I need to let them know that there are other ways that do not include having to take, and I know medication works for a lot of people. It just was not for me. And I
Mm,
see it all the time when they have to change medications or up their medications so that they can continue feeling better,
yeah,
when
which is
when they're damaging their bodies by taking those
poisons.
medications. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the
Yeah.
thing. If you were to read
Yep.
the possible
Yeah.
side effects, I mean, surely you wouldn't take anything, would you? You'd be like, ah, maybe not,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
not.
But
And
but we
yet
do.
people
But
don't.
we do.
And they take them and they don't read it. Then just not, it
Nope.
doesn't even, again,
Nope.
that's just because really, let's look at this. Really, some of them, like, possible side effects, death. I mean,
Yep.
surely that would be one to go,
Yep. Yeah. And the doctor goes, "Oh, it's only in 2% of cases."
yeah,
But that's 2%.
yeah. I mean, even if it was that with a chance of winning the lottery, I probably I mean, I'm not on the flip side of that. Do you know what I mean? That people would buy, wouldn't they?
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, you come to me, you'll win the lottery.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's just amazing that we are in this place where we still haven't sort of figured a lot of this out. But this is
Yeah.
it. There's people like yourself getting this information out there, and that there is an alternative way. And
There is.
and people might think I'm dissing the farmer, and that they have their place, and
Yes,
and
they
it's
do.
more sort of, I see it as an emergency if you really, really need it, and you've got it.
Yep.
But
Yes. I'm glad the
then
doctors are
get
there.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what it's there for,
Yes.
emergency. And then any chronic things, then deal with, okay,
Right.
maybe I need to look at this and this and this and make changes. Because it just always amazes me. Well, you can get certain ailments and then they get so-called cured, but they
Yep.
carry on just as they were before and wonder why. You just think whatever you were doing
Right.
up to that point that you got ill was the cause of you getting ill.
Yep.
So just
Yep.
because a medication has solved it in that moment, surely think about maybe from this point onwards, I will do something different. So it doesn't go back, but it is, again, I don't know, it's beyond me why people don't see it as that, as, again,
Because
it's, I
different is
suppose,
hard.
our programming, because
Yeah.
change
Because
it, and change
change is
is
hard.
hard,
Change is
and
hard.
it
It absolutely
is.
is.
And
It
it's funny
absolutely is.
because even when you're aware, like, like myself with, I knew what I should be eating. I come from the fitness industry, 25 years. I knew I should be doing it. I knew what to do. It wasn't because of a lack of knowledge.
Right. Right.
So, I can look back at myself and think, why was I doing that? But this is the thing, isn't it? You can look back and you think, I didn't want to do that, or I didn't want the result that was going to give me. And yet I still did it.
Yep.
Like, why do we do this?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
But
All the programming. It really is. It's programming that we don't even realize we have.
we're funny creatures, aren't we?
We are.
When we think about
Absolutely.
it. We've got some funny, maybe some of us, not everyone, but I've got some funny little ways that, sometimes we can question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for the listeners, if they're watching this, they'll be able to see all your links and info below. But for anybody just listening to this, how would they get in touch with you?
So you can go to my website, designyourexistence.com, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn at Design Your Existence.
Nice and simple. Design your existence. And so there we go. We are creators. We do create our own reality. And if you're not getting what you want to be getting,
Yep.
start designing
it. Yep.
Start designing it.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Fantastic. So what's next for Tanya?
Well, I just created a new Tenya. It's okay. Don't worry.
Tenya. I got your
Tenya.
name wrong. I'm so sorry. Tenya.
That's okay. Yeah. You know what? It doesn't even faze me that much anymore. But what's next for me?
I called you Tenya in the beginning. Tenya.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's all right. So I just created a new membership for people to come in and do healing meditations on a daily basis. They're live meditations. I'm there live. It's $30 a month, and you get 15 healings a month that you can subscribe to 3 different times
Wow.
throughout the week. And they last anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on the amount of people that are in the group. And I just, I want to just share my story. I want to help women. I just want people to know that they can be empowered to heal themselves. They just have to find the right tools that are going to work for them, and they just need to do the research and find it.
Right.
I may
And
not be
that
the right
is
person for you, but there is going to be somebody out there who can give you the tools that you need.
awesome. And that is empowering, isn't it? You're empowering women to solve any issues that they think they've been having or that's affecting their life in some way so that they can move forward.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a fascinating subject. I mean, it does be. At some point, I will go and learn how to do it.
Well, just go to designyourexistence.com.
There we go. There we go. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been a brilliant conversation. And to everybody
Thank
else,
you.
I will be back on Thursday with a coffee with Karen. So bye for now.
Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.